Hey, welcome back for story number 2, and I think you're gonna get 3 in this video. I'm not quite sure. I'm kind of just like doing these as I go, but this should be a pretty simple page. We just got done with a little bit more difficult page. It shouldn't have been as difficult as it was, but it was. Me and my son and I should say, love eggnog shakes. So we're a pretty big milkshake and ice cream people around here. And last year we found that Potbelly Pig has eggnog shakes, and actually we only went and got one. We should probably go and do that again before they get rid of them. Anyways, so Chick-fil-A peppermint shakes, Potbelly shakes, and all that kind of stuff are right up our alley. So day number 2 was what we did this night. We felt bad because we went up right before they closed, but you know. So I'm gonna keep it simple. I do need to figure out a way to add a little bit of journaling in here. I think it might be just like a tuck in. I kind of think that that's kind of not cool anymore, I guess, or the way to do things anymore. But I don't really want to cut this page up. There wasn't anywhere to like shove a 3x4 in here, so I don't know. I'm gonna figure it out. We'll figure it out. Yeah, so like I said, it should be pretty easy. A little bit of stamping. I am using the L Studios Parker Alpha stamps, and I chose that one reason because I have the dies to them, so I can cut those. I don't have to fussy cut, and I think that it's a good font for this. So we're literally going to put eggnog shakes down here, put a number on this, and keep on moving. As you know, the season is done and I need to get through this. So simple. I am trying to mix the more complicated ones with the simpler ones. And you know, story number 1 was a little bit of construction, getting all of this together. So we're just going to do a nice simple story on the back of this. All right, let's get moving. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is just stamp out this title. It is pretty much not the hardest part of all of this. Honestly, this page, it comes together quite quickly, which I feel like you definitely need pages that come together quickly and then pages that you got to work on. And at this point, you're going to see that, you know, obviously the last page I did gave me a lot of issues. So I wanted a little bit easier. Now, it's not that this didn't take me long, because stamping and die cutting all this out, except for I didn't have to fussy cut. I chose this font specifically, well, A, because I like it, and B, because I have dies and I don't have to fussy cut. So it still takes time to do all of that, and to line these all up and all that kind of stuff. But this is like mindless stuff that I can do while, you know, watching a show or listening, you know, to, you know, a YouTube video, that type of thing. So love that. I did just use, I think it's apple is the color. I think it's apple. In my Simon Says stamp, saturated inks, and then I use the outline in just black, of course, and then I cut those out. Again, these are L Studio fonts. I think this is called Parker. Again, I will try and link this below, but I do believe this is an older set, and so I don't know how long L Studio keeps a hold of their stamp sets, because they regularly put out new things a lot. All right. I will regularly check my spelling, which will be a funny thing here to come. But originally I thought that this was all going to go down here in the corner. I was quickly figuring out that that was not going to happen. So I moved it up to the top, and then I'll still have space down there for my number. Really, I am just trying to, you know, make this look fun. I swear when I look at letters or words for so long, they don't look spelled right. And I checked egg like 3 times to make sure it wasn't 2 E's and 1 G. I don't know. I swear, I don't know if anybody else does that. If they like another one is family, like I will look at that one forever and be like, that is like, after a while, be like, that's not spelled right. Like, I don't know why my brain does that to me. But in some words, it just doesn't. That's why I think I was like checking my Apple Watch to spell egg for me and be like, just make sure. Just make sure I'm not, on enough cold medicine to where that isn't spelled right. Again, which will come into play here at the end of this video, when I really wasn't on that much cold medicine. All right, we're just putting this all down with some liquid glue by Barely Arts. This is one of my favorite glues. And I've picked this glue up from like my card making shenanigans, I guess you would call it. But yeah, just trying to get that all down. I don't have much time for this to do it. Is anybody else always flipping S's also? I do that a lot. So, all right, we got that all down. It pops perfectly off of the page. We have the red in there. I feel like I am definitely gravitating towards red a lot in this album, whereas last year, because the album was green, I gravitated towards green a lot. But last year I was like super into the emerald green. This year I'm kind of more into the reds around my house. So I think it just works, obviously. We're going to go through all of my twos to find out what we're going to use. We definitely are getting quite a stash of numbers around here lately, and my box is getting quite full, and I need to go through and like glue down parts of it because the little ones are like slipping through the bottom as it gets moved around and stuff. So I think I'm going to go put like a bead of glue on the bottom of them to keep that from happening. I did choose this too. It's an old one from L Studio again. That Jane font is just one that I absolutely love. I love the cleanness. It's hard to tell, but this is like a 2 that is foiled in red for the outline. Again, these were probably like 2 years ago, unfortunately. So they're just vellum. Again, if I can find them and they still have them, which I'm guessing they don't, I will link them. A lot of the stuff I will just kind of keep in to show the progression of like how it kind of comes together. Because this one I really just printed the picture and kind of came to my table. I would love to do that more, honestly, which is why I sometimes miss physical product when I have so much digital. But in the next project, I will be like so glad that I have digital product, and because you'll see. I go back and forth. You're gonna see that trend probably all the way through this project, because I am in a little mild life crisis with scrapbooking supplies right now, and scrapbooking in general, honestly. It's like I want to do more scrapbooking, but I had lost that G forever ago. It must have been stuck to the bottom of something, because then it fell out right there. I had to like stop and redo it. I'm like, I know this G is here somewhere. All right, I wanted to get it a little bit fancier, and since you knew before that I broke the needle to my sewing machine, which I have now fixed and figured out how to replace the needle, which is like the first time in the sewing machine's life, which I've had that sewing machine since I've been like, I think before my first was born, so he's 17. And then the video when I went to go do that was like, you should be changing your needle every few projects. And I'm like, oh, maybe that's why it finally snapped. It's only 17 years later and that needle was still going. But I put some red line tape down for this. Then I was like, I don't want any more red line tape. I hate dealing with red line tape. We'll just do some liquid tape. Yeah, well, that like soaked completely into the fabric. Of course, I don't know why I didn't think it would be. So then I got out this super small, like 1/8 inch red line tape and put it on top. And we're really going to squeeze that pom-pom trim in between the 2 pages. And to make sure that it stays nice and good. I'll probably actually go back maybe and put a stitch through this, just because I have found in my later projects that pom-pom trim does come out pretty easily. I don't know why I kept in here my struggle with red line tape on fabric, because that is a struggle. It doesn't like, or it likes to come up pretty much. So probably should have edited that out, but sorry for that. All right, got the struggle over with and putting those 2 down, and that's pretty much going to wrap this up. The other struggle I am having a little bit right now is not paying attention to where I punch my holes, and one of these is like really close to the edge, and Probably the only thing that I don't love about scrapbook albums or scrapbook.com albums is they only have the 2 rings. And I feel like the 2 rings definitely puts a lot of pressure on those 2 holes. And there's like a vellum piece already in my album that I'm like, ooh, I need to go put some paper reinforcers on that one. So, as much as I like the cost of scrapbook.com albums, because I feel like that is one of the biggest cost in scrapbooking sometimes is the albums. And it gets me hard. Yeah, that lower one is like right there on the edge, and I'm like, oh, it's really close. But I've made a mental note that I'm going to try and watch that a little bit more often, and we'll fix it when it comes to it. So yeah, right there, I just pointed to it. I'm like, ooh, that one's getting a little, because it's just one piece of vellum. It's not very strong to begin with, and then all this flipping back and forth since it's the first page. All right, so let's move on to story number 3. This one is definitely going to be a work of art, a little bit of a project. I have always loved, her name is Lail by Mail. Most of you probably know her. She's more of a lister. She goes live on her YouTube channel a lot. I love her style. I love her paper piecing. Like, she makes kits up of her own. I think of like scrapbook.com and Pretty Little Studio type ordeal. And makes her album back in August. Most of her foundation pages in August, which I think is pretty awesome. Probably need to jump on that bandwagon, actually. Except for we don't get the Ellie Edwards stuff in August. I think we get it, in October? But maybe next year. We'll see. And I also love the amount of interactiveness in her albums and the flips, along with Therapy. Those 2 are the same. Like, they just get so many pictures into their albums most of the time. And I always take 1,500 pictures. So this one, I took the base of her day 4, pretty much. I changed it up a teeny tiny bit, probably. I made it bigger because her page was a little bit smaller than the like 7 by 8.25. And then I like switched up how it folds a little bit, but not much. So again, I did get the physical of the mini Paisley Press Kit. Like I said, I had switched it up a little bit this year, which I was kind of glad. And then I got a couple of the die cuts from the main kit, just because I wasn't a huge fan of the kit, even though it grew on me more and more as people obviously crafted with it. And I should probably known that, but I still am very happy with what I went with instead of the main kit. Again, because I just wanted more reds, and that kit was very rainbow-ish. So anyways, this is part of that kit, and then a piece of Felicity Jane paper that you can see right there from a paperback from way back when. The colors actually matched amazing with the Paisley Press Kit, because the red in the Paisley Press Kit is more of a orange, I would say, and it worked pretty well with this because I used that background page, and honestly, I'm pretty happy that I used my physical product and didn't print this out in digital. I didn't buy the digital though kit of this. I have bought the digital kit of the Ellie main kit now. That was probably more FOMO than anything, but I did want a few things in that kit, and I figure, you know, maybe next year that will be something that I like and I can use a lot more of that. But anyways, it was probably more with FOMO than anything. So fixed my needle in my sewing machine, as you can see. That red piece, I believe, is 5 by 10, I believe is what it was. I wrote it down and I can't see it now. I think it was 5 by 10. So that I folded it at 3 inches so that it would reach back down. Was it 3? Or was it 5? 5 by 10? yeah, I think it was 3 inches that I folded, or that I used my bone folder and folded back down. Then I'm just making a pocket here. So I took my sewing machine and just sewed around those edges. I loved that. This story is about advent calendars, and originally I wasn't even going to do advent calendars this year, as last year my kids just really weren't into them. They barely even like touched them. Some days they would go and do them, and some days, and then they would like catch up on 3 days. But in the end, I found a Lego one that my oldest son, actually, my 17-year-old, is really into Legos again right now. And then I went into Aldi, and Aldi had a slime one, and my youngest is like super into slime right now. I don't know why. So I got him that one. And honestly, this year they did a lot more of their advent calendars. My little one, not so much, because he ended up getting sick in the second week, but by the end of the season, he got them all out, was playing with all of them, have them all stacked in his room. He was pretty excited. So my oldest, there's going to be pictures of this where he sat down on Christmas Eve and built all of the Legos and just really embraced it this year. So I'm glad that I did it. He's put them all on a shelf and all that kind of stuff. So, all right. The main thing of why I don't usually do all these flips, or especially why I feel like they're harder when you're digital, is because you generally don't have all this paper laying around. You have to do it in Photoshop so that you have all of these pieces, which is what I'm doing like right now. Like I did use a piece of double-sided Felicity Jane paper, so that did help a little bit, but generally paper is only one-sided, especially if you're doing digital, obviously. And so I found myself having to stop a lot and going back to the computer because I had forgotten a piece, or just doing something like that. I was like, oh, I can use my 3x4 cards on this flip, but I actually scrapped this idea. I left this part in here just to show you like me going through everything. But I think I have things in here from 2018's kit. So much. I just need to use it. I need to go back into old years and do those December dailies. But anyways, I scrapped this because I wanted my picture to be 3x4. And when you needed to do the flip, it just wasn't going to work, obviously, because these cards are 3x4. So, but at least I was able to see the red, and I automatically was like, okay, I definitely want red on this. But I actually went back to that Felicity Jane paper and cut that down, went back to my computer, printed off the pictures, all of the things. So here you're going to see, I'm like, okay, we're going to go to red. And I'm like, yes, that will work. Plus the inside is already pink, which matches the little bit of pink that's in that plaid, and all is well. And I'm like, okay, we got to go back to the computer. So let's wrap that up. And here we are. Now we're back. And also the best thing about digital for sure is the fact that you can reprint patterns that you love. This grid paper, I don't even know where it came from, in one of Allie's things somewhere along the lines, but I have literally printed this off probably 15 times. I'm a huge grid ledger paper person. I love a good ledger. And so I printed this off again, and I think I printed like 2 or 3 or something like that, because usually when I pull it up on my computer, I will just print the full 8.5 by 11 piece of paper of it so that I have it in my stash, so I don't have to keep on going back to my computer, because I know I'll use it. So printed that off on the top. That is where my title is going to go, right here on the top, and just put that down. I'm not a big pink person, so I was trying to cover up most of that, but I was embracing a little bit of the pink. I felt like it was it was pretty. I'm like, oh, I needed something for the inside, so I used more of that grid paper, and I had also went back and printed all of my pictures. I actually forgot one. I forgot one of the puppy with his advent calendar. That was the other thing. We got one for the puppy. Unfortunately, some of the little treats ended up messing up his belly. There was like certain treats in there that would just mess his little belly right up. So we might be more careful about that next year. Maybe we'll make an advent calendar from his own treats that we know don't mess up his belly. All right, put some of that grid paper on the inside for journaling. And it's coming together. I'm loving it. It's something a little different. Then I had found these little die cuts that came from the mini kit also. And that red bow, I loved those red bows. I'm not even generally a bow person like that, but so cute. So knew that that was going to go on there. Now I'm just cutting down that last flip. I believe I cut this 3.5 by 4.5. Yeah, I think it was 3.5 by 4.5. Like I said, I wanted a 3x4 picture of the both of the kids that would flip down. So this is where I start making mistakes. You're going to see that, and I actually didn't even notice it, honestly, until way after I was done with this project. I ended up putting this picture, which is both of them in front of the tree, or all three of them actually with their advent calendars in front of the tree. And I don't put the picture technically like upside down on the card. So when you flip it out, it's upside down. And I literally don't even notice it until I was showing other people on TikTok my project. And I'm like, oh, that's upside down. So it is fixed now, but it's funny. And then I spelled something wrong here later. But we're going to get through that. We're not fixing that one. That one stays. It is what it is. Handmade, not perfect. All right. I also meant to cut these out. Do anybody else like plan to put a white border around their pictures, and then when they go to cut it, they completely cut off the white border? Ugh, every time. Every time I'm like, yes, I want a white border. I fix the pictures to not have a white border, and then I cut off the white border when I'm trimming everything out. Ugh, the struggles. The struggles. One day I'm going to scrapbook without incidences, I swear. All right. Just putting that down. I am going to put some rolling adhesive, and then I'm going to be like, this is going to be a flip. We're going to put a little bit of liquid glue on this too, just to make sure that that bond is real good. So we're going to put that down. I did score this at about 1/4 inch, I believe, with my scoreboard. And there is our flip. So I believe, layout by mail, the flip was on the outside, and then you flip that one down, and then you flip this one up. It's okay. You can change everything. So putting a little tab. This little tab is so cute. I think it's like, it says like moments or something. The only problem with these tabs is I felt like the writing on those were like super small. Now we need our number. Now I pick out numbers and had a plan, and then forgot the plan when I put the bow. Forgot that I wanted to put that bow on there pretty much in the middle. And so I just moved the 3 over a little bit. I was really actually going to go for that pink 3, to tell you the honest truth, but it was like a smidgen too big, and when you would flip that down, it would hit that flip. So I couldn't go with that. So I just went back to the black 3. It pops enough off that red. I am picking out a font. I end up going with, not that one. That one was going to be just too big. Advent Calendar is a pretty big font. I think I went with like a generic one from Amazon. It's this one right here. Yeah, it's a generic one from Amazon. If I can find it, I will link it below for you. Again, a pretty old font. I believe Allie has one just like this though, because I went to go get it and I'm like, wait a minute, I already kind of have almost the same font. Like, I don't need to double up on fonts. So we are going to stamp that out just in black, nothing big. Glad that I'm actually getting back into like the stamping part of it, because I kind of stopped doing that for a while and like was printing out like titles. The only thing that I did want to do was I wanted a font number on this, if you like a written out number, but just didn't work out. And I forgot that it was 3, and it was just too big. I was thinking that it was 4, so just only 4. Again, lots of design faux pas. What can you do? All right, just using my black ink pad. You can pretty much use anything. Even better, it'd be like VersaFine. The only thing with VersaFine is it is a pigment ink, so it does take longer to dry. So I was just a little afraid to use VersaFine in case I would smudge it, whatever. All right, I love how this come out. No matter if there are mistakes on this or not. I spelled calendar wrong. I put an E instead of an A at the end. Is that like the English way of doing it? Like, what's it? Savor and favorite. Maybe there's a different way to spell it in the English way or like the Britain way. I don't know. I doubt it. I tell you. I love these projects. They bring me so much joy. All right, so we are going to finish that up, and that pretty much is going to wrap up this page. I love how this is a flip out, and all. I love my flip outs. Trust me. I mean, if there is somebody that you follow for flip outs other than Mail by Mail, you definitely want to go check out Therapy. I think that's how you pronounce it. Their Rypie. The Rypie. It's her last name, I believe. Anyways, she's on Instagram. She is absolutely amazing. She's an amazing foil quill person. She uses her foil quill for so many things. I think it's amazing. I want to be like her when I grow up. And she just thinks of so much amazing projects that you definitely want to follow her on Instagram. And then she's also obviously a teacher in Allie Edwards like classrooms, which reminds me I need to like sit down and go through some classrooms on my in the back end of my Allie Edwards thing or whatever. I don't know what you want to call it, but there's so many I probably haven't went through. All right, back to the project. A little less rambling. Sorry this was a little bit longer, but I wanted to just get this in. I decided that there was a little bit of that room to go up there above Advent, so I put in that little phrase sticker, and then I should have done this before I put this little journaling thing down, but I mean, it came up pretty easily. I just stapled this bow down. This little bow is absolutely adorable. So this is like the part where I'm like so glad that I got the physical part of it, because I can't make that at home. If you guys know how to make that kind of stuff at home, I know that, you know, you can print on vellum. My vellum never prints that well. And then I could foil quill it, but oh my goodness, I don't know how much that would, you know, like that's a lot of work. And that's where just the physical kit comes in. I wish I had an abundance of, you know, budget where I could always get the physical and the digital. That would make my life so much easier. I wouldn't have these, you know, mental life crisis. Or midlife crisis about physical and digital products. I wish I could do both, just all of the time, just do both. But I don't have that big of a budget. I barely have a budget at this point right now. So I'm always saving up for the Christmas kit, and, you know, doing my best. All right, we put some red line tape on this number. It's just a very smooth back, so I wanted some red line tape. This is where I said I kind of forgot that I was going to put that bow down, so I had to move my 3 over. I don't think it looks bad at all. I think it looks just perfect. It's fine. And that would be my project pretty much. We are going to slip those pictures in the pocket. I am going to mat them on white paper. And then when I'm printing out my next story, I will just print out the one of the puppy. I just forgot the one of the puppy. He was sitting so pretty after his little haircut too. So slipping those in and getting those adjusted in there, that's perfect. It saves all the pictures in there. They weren't the best pictures anyways, and there's pictures in there of actually the 23rd. So though this is a story that happened very early on in December, I wanted to put pictures later on that I took of the boys using their advent calendars, which that is what I did. All right, just grabbing my pen there to do some journaling. I don't always love my handwriting. If I'd slow down, I would like my handwriting a little bit more, but who slows down? So writing all of that in there, and then just literally talking about what I just talked about before. Like I wasn't really sure And that chick's got one too. What is the next thing I do? I think the next thing is, I felt like it just needed a little bit more, and I loved the stitch, but obviously couldn't stitch around everything. So I just grabbed my, 10 millimeter, white gel pen, always 10. These are the best. And it really was kind of skipping along here, but I think that's more because these papers have like a little bit of a glossy finish on them. Not like glossy, but like a smooth finish on them, so I think it skips a little bit, but honestly it did a pretty decent job. I always I use my white pens a lot actually, so that helps. And then I always store them upside down, so with the pen tip down, so that the ink is always obviously going down. All right, we're gonna punch our holes. Woo, a little bit of a zoom there. Wanted to make sure we could see everything. Punch our holes and move on to the next story. I'm so excited for this. And, you know, it's not going as quickly as I thought it would, as here we are the 9th of January and I'm only to the 4th. I need to speed this process up a little bit, but I'm working through it and it's just fine. I have a lot of things I'm doing right now. So it works and it's beautiful. And I love how these two to go together with a big photo and then a resting place. Talk to you guys.